Hello, hello, and thank you so much for joining me today for my 30-minute talk. We're going to be together for about 30 minutes. This talk is called Self-Care as a Self-Love Walk. And this is something that I know a great deal about because I've been living it now for most of my adult life, 20 years or so, and teaching it in the various ways that I work with my clients. And so I'm really excited to be sharing. Gosh, there's so much. I got woken up in the middle of the night last night with downloads for you. So I'm really excited to be sharing those downloads with you. Clearly, the divine is working in me for you today. And so, yay. So a little bit of my story. I'm just going to mute. Thank you. A little bit of my story. So I found these nutritional protocols that I love working with about 7 years ago. And I was really a hot mess, to be honest with you. Even though I was teaching self-love and self-care to my clients and in my group programs, I was horribly remiss in terms of how it was that I was caring for myself, mainly because I was a very busy mother and wife. I was a community activist and I was running a couple of different businesses. So, such is the culture that we live in, where moms, women are being pulled in all these different directions. And we are hard pressed to try and prioritize ourselves. And so that was me 7 years ago. I was a hot mess. I was dealing with perimenopausal symptoms. I was dealing with candida overgrowth in my body, and I was 50 pounds overweight. And so consequently, when these protocols came into my life, I was able to really look at how it was that I was caring for myself, that I was nourishing myself, that I was loving myself. So I'm going to unpack a little bit about some of the ways that we are not loving ourselves here in our present day and age. And then I'm going to go into the ways that we can care for ourselves. So some of you are here because you're about to start a 30-day transformation. Some of you are here because you're thinking about it. And I just want to thank you for muting the call when you come on. Thank you so much. And my support staff for helping me out there. I appreciate it. Okay, so how are some of the ways that we don't love and care for ourselves? So I really equate self-care with self-love. These two go hand in hand for me, and they have for a really long time, particularly when I began teaching this to expectant moms almost 20 years ago. I really equated the ability for us to care for ourselves is the ability for us to love ourselves more deeply and more completely. However, as I was sharing moments ago, in our busy day-to-day lives, we can be practicing the opposite. And so I'm going to outline some of the ways that we do not love ourselves. All right. And that in all honesty, that we are practicing self-hatred, because what is the opposite of self-love? Self-loathing and or self-hatred, which not the funnest topic to talk about, right? But if we aren't loving ourselves, we are loathing ourselves or practicing self-hatred. And a deeper talk would be inherent misogyny, but I'm not going to go there today. So some of the ways that we don't love ourselves is to be not drinking enough water daily. I can remember years back, I was like, I'm a camel. I don't need to drink so much water every day. Well, what I've since learned is that water is how the body, drinking water is how the body detoxes itself. We need to be hydrating our body to give our body what it needs to detox itself. All right. So maintaining your hydration daily is so important. What's another way that we don't love ourselves? Holding our urine, having the urge to urinate and not going. Not good. Not good at all. Not loving, not caring, not good for the body. The minute we feel the need to go, we need to go. We need to release our bladder. Really, really, really important. Okay. Not eating for several hours until we're starving. We can get so caught up in our day-to-day life that we forget to eat, and we end up being so hungry that we don't have the ability, the wherewithal, or the time to create something healthy for ourselves, to nourish ourselves. When it comes to our relationships, staying in a relationship or a marriage or a job that we're miserable in, not loving, that's not loving, and it's not caring for ourselves. How do I know this? Because I lived this reality. I stayed in a marriage for a very long time that was acrimonious, that was very difficult, and I stayed in it for my children. It's what most women do. We stay in a difficult marriage for our children, when really the children would be benefited, in my opinion, now that in retrospect, from, separating and creating more peace in their life by separating. Overeating beyond fullness, taking into our body food, nutrition, beverages that create this sense of feeling really full and stuffed. That's not good for us. It's not good for our body. And certainly if we're trying to eliminate inflammation and create weight loss, it's just not kind. We're not being kind to our bodies. Eating or drinking the things that we know are bad for us repeatedly. So 7 years ago, I was eating gluten, sugar, fried foods, pork, caffeine, alcohol, processed foods daily. And when I found our protocols, I was taken into the realm of eating very, very, very cleanly. And then I would pendulum swing back and forth and back and forth. And I thought I was doing right by myself by eating very, very cleanly. And then, cleansing, transforming, losing weight, losing inflammation. I'm like, oh, I'm good now. I can go back and do these things that I love to do, eating these foods that I love to do, that I love to eat, these drinks, these beverages. Until 3 years of that pendulum swinging back and forth, and I was whammied with a breast cancer diagnosis. So the breast cancer, what we know about cancer, what I've, since learned in terms of my research, is that the tumors, I had tumors in both breasts, different types of cancer, can start a full decade prior to us ever knowing that there's a tumor there. And lifestyle is so incredibly important. And so with that breast cancer diagnosis, it was like a full-on stop sign. Steph, you can't do this back and forth, yo-yo, pendulum swing experience of how it is that you're nourishing yourself. It was not loving. What I was doing was not loving for my body, for my systems, for my organs. So there's been a deepening of my self-love through nutrition during this time. And consequently, I ended up stopping the sugar, stopping the gluten, stopping the coffee, stopping the alcohol, stopping the pork, stopping the processed foods, and really dialing in my diet so that I'm eating as cleanly as possible. And don't get me wrong. I mean, there were moments, sure, where I would, treat myself or, I love champagne. So my sisters and my mom and I, we go to Maui every year, very blessed. And my family loves to drink alcohol. They drink alcohol from the moment they wake up with their mimosas until their wine at night with dinner. And that's intense for me as someone who's, you know, I've been called a radical detox goddess, because I've really, really, really had to work to transform my relationship with nutrition and my body. And so periodically I would have some really fine champagne, which would make me really happy. And that's fine, every now and again, treating ourselves and having things that we really love. It's when we do it over and over and over and over again daily that, one of my favorite mentors, medical medium, calls it death by 1,000 cuts. And so that's not kind to do that to ourselves day in and day out. And so it's not loving, it's not caring. Let me see here, my list of how we do not love and care for ourselves. Oh, not giving ourselves time for meditation and personal development. So if you are going all the time, and you're not stopping, and you're not being still and quiet and tuning in, you are not going to get the hits, the inner messages from spirit. Spirit's always talking to us. But if we're constantly putting out energy, working all the time, caring for others all the time, and we're not allowing ourselves to be quiet and to tune in and to meditate, we're not going to get the messages that spirit has for us. God, love, whatever you want to call it. I think we can all believe in love. And in my cosmology of life, love is who we are. Love is what we're surrounded by. And love, Great Spirit, God, is always working through us and endeavoring to use our lives for the higher good. But we must listen in order to get those directives. And so meditation is the way to do that. And along those lines, if meditation is feeling very far away for you, and I relate, it felt really, really, really far away for me too. I was a spiritual practitioner in Los Angeles for a licensed spiritual practitioner and counselor for 13 years at the Agape International Spiritual Center. And I love to pray. I pray to this day with my clients, with my colleagues, with my family, my community. But meditation, I really didn't understand, what were the benefits of meditation? I mean, it all seemed like I could understand intellectually, but I didn't really understand the embodiment of how it was that meditation benefited me until I have been doing it more recently, daily, in the last 6-7 months. I've been doing the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's been changing my life tremendously for the better. And I understand why we meditate now. So if meditation feels really far away, I get it. At the very least, I want to invite you to stop and rest. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, lay down somewhere on the ground, if that's all you have, on the earth, if that's what you have, on your bed, if you're at home. I love the practice of Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is an incredible yogic practice where we stop and we go through every single aspect of the body, and we complete 30 minutes later and we feel like we've had a nap, but we really haven't. We've just calmed the body, calmed the nervous system, and given ourselves that break, that rest to restore ourselves to restore our energy. It's like your computer. If you don't charge your computer, the battery goes down. Well, our batteries go down and we need to replenish and restore. And so the ways that I do that is through meditation, through yoga nidra, definitely through a yoga practice, and or spending time in nature, recharging the battery. Another way that we don't love and care for ourselves is by putting everyone else's needs ahead of our own. Who can relate to that? Putting our clients' needs, our patients' needs, our family's needs, our lovers' needs, our mate, our husband ahead of our own. Okay. This is one of the biggest transmissions that I have for the people in my sphere. It is imperative that we learn to prioritize ourselves, our needs, our bodies, that we catch the hit. Oh, I need to put food in my body. I need to nourish myself. I need to go to the bathroom and urinate. I need to, it may sound really, obvious, but especially when we're working and we're so consumed with what it is that we're doing, it can be really, and we're in that creative mode, right? It's juicy, it's fun, it's creative, we're helping, we're being of service, but we must take time for ourselves. We must take time for ourselves. And if we don't take time for ourselves, I feel like I'm the canary in the coal mine. Hello, Cancer. Hello, heavy metal toxicity. I've been dealing with this now for 3 years. 3 years. And for those of you who don't know my story, I have no further metastasis in my body. The tumors have transformed. They've become benign. I'm still dealing with heavy metal toxicity in my left eye and loss of vision. And I'm working to heal myself and to care for myself and to love myself every single day. I'm not perfect. But I've come a long way. The last thing that I want to offer to you as a way that we don't love and care for ourselves is by not taking ourselves to our favorite dance class, yoga class, Pilates, whatever it is, right? Not practicing that way of loving ourselves and taking ourselves to do what it is that we want to do for ourselves. All right. So that's all the bad news. All the ways that we don't love ourselves. Now let's focus on what I like to call the self-love revolution. Yeah. Let's practice and energize self-love, self-care every damn day. Let's do that. Are you with me? Okay. So if you are in this 30-day transformation or you're just about to start it, what I want you to do today, if you haven't already, is to take a moment and commit to this journey of deep self-love that you are on. So what does that look like? You might say, Stephanie, what does that mean to commit to myself? Take a moment. If you have a journal, great. If you don't have a journal, you have a workbook. Any book will do. And talk to yourself about your commitment. What is my commitment? How am I going to show up and love myself during this time of nutritionally loving myself? Because it isn't just about nutrition, as you've heard me say, right? It's about how we are prioritizing our energy, how we are prioritizing the things that we love. Are we letting the people that we care about that are in our sphere know that we're about to do this and to be on our success team and cheer us on, right? So talk about the ways, if you've identified yourself in any of the things that I just shared with you, then you can speak to that in your journal entry. And if you want to keep journaling through the 30 days, then by all means do. daily journaling. You can do it, if you are also committing to a meditation practice. It doesn't have to be an hour long like what I practice. I had to work myself up to that hour-long practice, but now I can sit no problem an hour, hour 15, even 5 hours with Dr. Joe Dispenza when I was in Orlando in November of 2022. Incredible what we can do when we set our minds to it. So I want you to recognize how when you're eating food, you are loving yourself. Recognize how it is that you are or are not loving yourself with your nutrition. Okay? Learning to equate how I am eating is how I'm loving myself. Just that practice, that exercise. Okay? Another journal prompt would be looking at your habits that you're wanting to release in this 30-day experience, journaling about them. Wow, I really see how my habit of staying up until midnight is really not serving my wellness, or staying up until 1 or 2 or what, that's really not serving how it is that I'm loving myself and how it is that I'm able to show up the next day. I'm just using that as an example. For me, my sleep has been, my going to bed time has been crucial for my well-being. I pretty much am asleep by 10 o'clock every night, and I wake up around about 6 o'clock every day. That's how I do life. That really works for me. That really works for me. Some days I'll stay up later if I'm out with friends or family, and some days I'll sleep in longer, And last night I really got worked with my sleep. I had some tooth pain. I've got some dental stuff that's coming out for me. And so I was tossing and turning. And then at one point I got this total download for you all today. And I was like, oh, take note. Don't expect it to be there. When you wake up tomorrow, take note. And so I took all these notes in the middle of the night last night for you all. So I hope you're enjoying this and finding value. I want you to commit to loving yourself more deeply and prioritizing your wellness over these next 30 days. Prioritizing you, your self-love walk, your wellness, your health, your nutrition, your body temple, how you're caring and loving for your body temple. I wished that I'd been doing all this stuff long, long, long time ago. I wish that I'd had a mentor in my life that would have been able to say to me, hey, stuff, eating non-organic gluten 3 times a day is not the best thing you can be doing for yourself. Doing the cow dairy as often as I was eating it was not good for me. I'm not saying that these things are bad for everybody. I don't want to malign any one thing, but for me and the frequency with which I was doing them, it wasn't good. And what we know now about grains, what I know now about grains is that they're drenched in glyphosate, they're drenched in toxins, and we do not want to be doing that to our body. We want to be getting the toxins out. And that's what this 30-day is all about, is nourish and detox, nourish and detox. If movement is important to you, commit to doing something every day that brings you joy. That's my commitment for 2023. Something that brings me joy, that is moving my body every single day. It can be 20-minute yoga on YouTube. It can be my favorite Nia class in town. It can be my own yoga practice, because I have my own yoga practice that I've been doing for over 20 years. It can be my home workout that I received from my girlfriend Tal Kapoor. I have like a 20-minute workout that gets my blood going. It can be going for a walk in nature. Whatever brings you joy, do that. Okay, I just got someone to share with me their favorite Pilates instructor on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, I want to get back into Pilates. I used to do Pilates and it brought me a lot of joy to feel that core strength. And I've been having a lot of issues with my back and alignment. And so doing Pilates, doing yoga is really helping me come into alignment. And it's a way that I can love myself and love my body. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Your body is over 70% water. You want to make sure that you're drinking water whenever you think of it. Oh, I'm parched. I need to drink. Just a little sip will do. You don't have to chug a whole bunch. And loving yourself with water, the purest water that you can possibly have is ideal, right? Stop drinking water out of plastic bottles to the best of your ability. We want to eliminate plastics in our world. No more plastic. I'm really proud of the company I've aligned with. We are eliminating plastic from our product line. Makes me really happy as an environmental activist. All right. Just a couple more things here for you, a few more tips. Practice mindfulness when you eat and masticate every mouthful. What does mastication mean? I love that word. Chew your food. Chew your food. When we're hungry, sometimes we can like not even chew. We're just gobbling it down and swallowing it, right? So take time to masticate your food, chew your food, be present with your food. And if you can, and this is a tough one for me, don't do anything while you're eating. Why? Because if we're tuned into, and this is what I'm like I said, I'm not perfect. I live alone currently. My children are with me periodically, but right now I'm living alone. And I am the queen of getting into my phone while I'm eating, And what will happen is we're not present with chewing. We're not present with how it is that we're digesting our food, right? So if we can, so I'm reminding myself here to just eat your food, Steph. Just sit there and be with your food. Let your mind wander, let your mind be present with the act of what you're actually doing. So practicing mindfulness while we're consuming our food, which is not hard to do when we're sitting eating with people, right? Because we're taking time to be with the people that we're sitting around the table eating with. But when we live alone, it can be challenging. So I get it. Also, when we're mindful when we're eating, we're not going to be so likely to overeat. Okay. Finally, if you're hungry during the 30 days, grab an apple. Always have an apple in your car, at work, nearby. Always an organic apple. Honeycrisp are my favorite. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are so delicious. And always have a shake nearby or make a cup of tea. All right. Herbal tea is your friends when you're doing this 30-day experience. Finally, my last tip is reach out for support and love on this path of self-love that you're on. You're not doing this alone. All right. For more tips and to learn more from me or work with me, please go to my website, stephaniedon.com, and send me a message. All right. Thank you so much. I hope you found value for our time here today. I'm so grateful to have been able to share these tips with you. I love you. God bless it. You're worth it. All right. Bye-bye.